2000, 2000, baby. Eden Palms, Monterey Road, I'm a project baby. Eagles Drive, we was at Oak Grove, barely graduated. We got Tasha, Molly, Bodie, corporate, stay gon' have to hate us.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the New Media Podcast. I'm your host, Ya. As always, we hope you enjoyed the last episode because this episode is going to be even better. I got the whole crew with me today. Everybody's in the house, and week 3 just got wrapped up, so it's only right that we talk about it. Before we jump into week 3, we have to start off with a temperature check. So how's everybody doing today?
Come on, man. The bad man came up with a win against Tom Brady. We're going to get to that game. What did I tell y'all?
I can't lie, it was pretty surprising, but
my last second win, man. It was a good game. Man, kind of turned up.
My heart sunk on the last play.
It was scary, man. But Seattle 1-2, man. Our offense, I feel like our offense did our job, but the defense, we got cooked. I didn't like not one stop. All I see was just Cordell running over us, Drake London, Egan, Kyle Pitts.
Cordell had like 141.
It was defense. Man, we got to step it up.
I came out with a win. Abdi came out with a win, and Big H didn't come out with a win. So it's going to be a recurring theme on the show.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and get into week 3, the very first game of the week. Steelers, they lost to the Browns 29-17. Really wasn't a good one.
I think this is the week where the Steelers realize, like, we just can't keep going forward with Mr. Trubisky as our starting quarterback. It's not possible, man, because it feels like everybody from the wide receivers to the running backs are just frustrated with Mr. Trubisky's, like, contributions. I mean, DeAndre Johnson feels like every time he makes a catch, he's just pissed off because it's like he should have been gotten the ball like a while ago. So I just feel like this is the week where the Steelers starting to shift over to maybe throwing Kenny Pickett in there. I don't know, but offensively, it's just they can't keep going forward with this. Like their defense, I feel like they've like kept offenses in check overall. Like I feel like they've done a good enough job, but the NFL is about scoring. And if you're not able to score, then it doesn't matter. So.
Yeah, I'm on the same point. Trubisky, he's not a starting quarterback in the league. He's most definitely 100% a backup, but a starting job, no. The Steelers' offenses, they're not pushing the ball up. They're not doing nothing. The run game looks horrendous. And like I said, the receivers, Deontay Johnson, he's frustrated. After every play call, he's frustrated. And then you look at last game, the only big play they had down the field was to George Pickens, and that was even a horrible placed ball, but he made a fantastic catch, though. So the defense is doing their job, but the offense, they're not doing much. They really can't. They're really not going to win games like this the way they're playing with Trubisky at quarterback. So I expect.
I feel like there is criticism against their offensive coordinator too, though.
The offensive coordinator, there's been criticism in the last 3 years, 4 years.
They don't push the ball.
I feel like he's an old school type of coach. So I feel like they got to push that up. The last 4 years, they've been having players complaining about the offensive coordinator, stuff like that. But good game for the Browns. You know, Brissett and Cooper, man, they hooked up.
They're cooking.
Balled out. Yeah. They cooking. Those two guys are playing, man. So I'm kind of excited to see where, you know, the Browns end up when Deshaun Watson come back. They could have 8 wins, and they could be in that playoff picture where Deshaun Watson come back. We could let him reach 12. And that's scary. You know, what's his name? David Njoku too.
Yeah, he had a hell of a game, man.
That's another target for Watson. So they got a squad on offense. Watson comes back, and they got 8 wins. Brissett does his job. It might do some damage in the playoffs. But one thing though, Myles Garrett,
car crash.
Car accident.
They said it's non-threatening, so.
Non-threatening, right? So
he'll probably miss a week, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's kind of scary, man. Getting in car crashes. Oof. Hopefully, it comes out fine. But that defense it's elite defense, so they got a team.
Yeah, I got to give all the credit to the Browns. They came out and did what they were supposed to do. I mean, they made a point of emphasis to run the ball with Nick Chubb. He finished with 23 touches, 113 yards and a touchdown. And then Jacoby Brissett, we thought he was just going to game manage the game, but I mean, he was getting all of his guys involved. He got Amari Cooper 100 yards and a touchdown, and Njoku 89 yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, this offense did pretty well for themselves against the Steelers defense. That's pretty damn good, and you know they're running the ball at a high level. So, I mean, I don't know, man. This Browns team at 2-1, sitting at 2-1 right now in a division that's very, very close. With Deshaun Watson coming back in, you know, like 6-7 weeks from now, like they can make a serious push. I agree with you guys on that one, but
should be 3-0.
Should be 3-0 too, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
crazy. Right. They lost to the Jets last week.
The Jets game.
Yeah, so
choke that Jets game, but 3-0, they should have been. Yeah,
they might be a serious team.
Brissett can like manage this team to like
even not even like 8
wins. like if he's able to like at least keep him like 6 wins, like I think they can do damage. Like
They
that's
can do
scary.
damage.
So then I'll ask you guys this. Like, let's say Brissett's doing well for himself, right? And the Browns are winning. And then Deshaun Watson, he's getting ready to come back. What do? Do you move on from Brissett and
The
bring in the
thing is
guy
though,
you
like
paid all that money?
Deshaun comes in,
Listen.
right? He's gonna be rusty, like for being real. Like it's gonna, and I think the schedule when he comes back is a bit tough. Like he
They get a
has some
little
big,
bit tough the last 6 games.
yeah. So I mean, like you paid him all that money, so I think they have
At the
to.
same time, it's
yeah.
like, yo, hey, I paid this guy, how much was it? 250, 260? I forgot what he got, but
Yeah.
guarantee you're gonna have to start him, regardless of the situation. Some people claim he's top 5. Some people, they put him in there. So you can't just say, hey, you come back, you're ready to play. I'm just gonna leave
But
you on the bench.
my thing is though, the rust is where it's like,
There's gonna be rust.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't look good in that one preseason game.
Yeah,
But
did
that was
not.
like 5. That's 5 plays though. You can't judge a guy for 5 plays. It wasn't much.
He didn't look good though. He didn't look good.
but it was.
I mean,
it wasn't much.
the Browns might just stick with what's working. They're gonna rely on their run game, and while Deshaun Watson's getting his feet under him, so
There's gonna be a lot of play action plays. They're gonna run the ball a lot, but you're gonna pay Brissett. They're gonna take care of Brissett for sure. You're gonna get a good contract after this.
For sure. We'll go ahead and move on to the next game. The Bears beat the Texans on a walk-off field goal. Roquan Smith with a clutch interception to get him in that position. 23-20.
I mean, I get the situation. Like in Chicago is nothing great, but Justin Fields has just been a disappointment. If we're being honest, like he had some sparks in week 1, but like that interception, that was all on him. It was on nobody. Like the line protected him. He had time. He just overthrew it. Yeah,
he
just
just
do it.
overthrew into space, and it was just a bad play by him right there.
Like I'm worried for Justin Fields. Like I get the situation against Chicago is nothing like to write home about. But at the same time, it's like we've seen quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson come in with absolutely no wide receivers, and he's able to perform on that level. And of course, I'm not saying Justin Fields is like Lamar Jackson, but like as a quarterback, you have to show flashes. We've seen Trevor Lawrence last year show flashes in a team that was just struggling, right? Even though he didn't have a great statistical year, it's just like with him, like where the flashes that we're seeing, like always see some rushing output, but throwing the ball, it's like it's not there. So I'm worried for this team.
Yeah, same as me on the offensive side. They heavily rely on the run game. Plus, David Montgomery got hurt last week.
Yeah, it's tough.
It was tough. A lot of teams are going to focus on that run, then pack the box and try to force Justin Fields to throw that ball. And he hasn't looked well the past 2 weeks. Last week, 70 yards. What was it, an interception last week against the Packers?
It was not good at all.
That was a horrible game. This game, 106 yards and 2 interceptions. That's another horrible game. Like his defense held the ground for them. The run game held up for them. It's tough for the Bears. Houston as well. I mean, I felt like Houston could have won the game, but their defense.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Davis Mills interception. Davis Mills, that was tough though. That was tough
interception too. So both teams it looked bad for both teams, but Roquan Smith, I think this was his first week back, came out with an interception and 16 tackles, man. So he played phenomenal. I remember in the offseason, they didn't want to pay him. So
they didn't want to pay him.
He's going to be a free agent. He's an all-pro, man. So a lot of teams going to come fetching for that guy. It's great to see him play fantastic.
It was very good to see Damien Pierce put up some numbers, 20 carries, 80 yards, and a touchdown. But I'm just disappointed in Davis Mills not getting his playmakers the ball. I mean, Brandon Cooks finished with 7 targets, 2 catches for 22 yards. I mean, I thought Brandon Cooks was going to have a pretty good game against this Bears defense. But, I mean, credit to the Bears. They, even through Justin Fields struggling, throwing 2 picks and a little over 100 yards, they're still able to, run the ball pretty well and get themselves in a position to win this one. So, I mean, the Bears are sitting at 2-1, surprisingly, right? I definitely didn't expect this coming into the season. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next game. The Raiders, once again, losing to the Titans 24-22. Derek Carr,
crazy, man. This right now is just like they're the only 0-3 team in the NFL, right?
Correct.
That's just tough. Like, I don't think, like, I get maybe, like, a lot of people had them finishing last in this division, but, like, everybody had them, like, finishing possibly, like, 9-8. Like, there's no way the Raiders should be 0-3 right now. And, like, if I'm a Raider fan, I'm angry because it's not like these games were blowouts. They're legit. Every single game has been a winnable game. Like, right now, in a different, like, planet, they would have been 3-0. That's how crazy this is. Like, they could have been 3-0 right now, but they're 0-3. Derek Carr is just nothing short of a disappointment. You have Devontae Adams, and I don't know what Devontae Adams' stat line. I think he had 36 yards, I want to say. And
36
a
yards and a
touchdown.
touchdown.
Touchdown, yeah. He had 36 yards and a touchdown. You cannot have Devontae Adams on your team and he barely gets the ball. Again, I don't think he even crossed 7 targets, if I'm being honest. So it's tough. Like Derek Carr right now is just he has not looked good. And I get it that we said the offensive line wasn't gonna be nothing great, but you have pass catchers like all around. You have playmakers. You have Darren Waller, you have Hunter Renfrow, you have Devontae Adams. But if you can't get those guys involved, especially Devontae Adams, a guy who gets open almost every time he's down the field, and I think teams are now starting a game plan against stopping Devontae. They're like, we're gonna make Carr throw it to everybody else, and Carr's unable to do that right now. Like he's unable to get the ball to anyone else because this game they were doubling Devontae and he couldn't get the ball to anyone else. So it doesn't make any sense. If you can't get the ball to Devontae and you're not able to get it to anyone else, like what are you good for? So I was never high on Derek Carr originally, and this just goes back to the point. He's the worst quarterback in the division, so it's looking tough. If I'm a Raiders fan, I'm hitting the panic button, and it's loud. So
I'm right there agreeing with you, man. Derek Carr is one of the worst quarterbacks in this league, man. He got Waller, you got Devontae, you got Hunter Renfrow. They have targets on the offensive end, and they have Josh Jacobs. They're not utilizing Jacobs as a running back. They barely give him any carries. Tennessee the other day, they played double team on. They put a double team on Devontae. He couldn't find any of the other receivers. It was just tough. Throwing it up, throwing it out of bounds, throwing it to random spaces, incomplete passes, interception, turnovers. It's the same thing as the last 3 weeks. It's all winnable games, and he's over here going 0-3. So for me, the Raiders' biggest disappointment. And Carr, I think they got to move on from Carr. I don't know if they paid him this offseason, but it's time they move on for him. In Tennessee, they did what they usually do, right? Derrick Henry, go to the end zone, score with him, let him handle the job. And they made Derek Carr play the game the way they wanted to play, and they won. So good one for the Titans, but Raiders 0-3, biggest disappointment in the league for me.
Yeah, I think the Titans got away with this one for sure. I mean, Derrick Henry had a good game, 20 carries, 85 yards and a touchdown, but Ryan Tannehill didn't play too well.
He did great on the receiving end too.
Yeah, so I mean, the Raiders, man, they like I'd be sitting in a different world, they could easily be 3-0. So, and all these games are so close. When the season's over, they're gonna look back at these first 3 games. They're gonna shake their heads at this one because these games are gonna have effect on them in the coming on them making the playoffs. So, well, 0-3, the only team that's 0-3, so they got a long way to go from here.
Tough division too, man.
And they're in a tough division, as we say every week, so it doesn't get any easier.
Even Broncos, looking how bad they are, they're 2-1. So I don't know about the Raiders this year. I don't think they're making the playoffs.
I don't think so either, man. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next game. An upset here. The Colts beat the Chiefs 20-17.
This was such an odd game. I don't know. The Chiefs were just uncharacteristic this game. So just the weird fact that Matt Ryan was able to beat you. Like it was crazy. It was Matt Ryan was getting pressured a lot in this game, and yet they're still able to end up like marching down the field and getting a touchdown in the last play. And I don't know. Like I'm gonna just write this off as just a bad week for the Chiefs. I'm not gonna look too deep into this. I don't think this is a cause for concern at all, in my opinion. But the Colts, at least they finally got something on track. If they start at 0-3, that's tough, especially with how the Jaguars are playing. But coming into this week, nobody had them winning, and to come out with a win, that's big for them. So 1-2, at least they can reestablish, go back to their roots, and be able to win this division. So I'm not gonna look too deep in this for the Chiefs. I think it's just a bad week. Write it off, and they'll bounce back.
I don't know. I feel like Chiefs back-to-back weeks against the Chargers, not against the Colts. They had back-to-back bad offensive weeks. Offensively, they didn't look too well on the offensive side for me.
Yeah,
even coming into today, like a recent game against the Colts the other day, offensively, they really didn't get much off. I felt like they only had 1 to 2 drives. Other than that, it was very sluggish for them. Very sluggish. Shout out to the Colts defense. They played phenomenal against Mahomes, but Tyreek Hill might be a big loss. I'm not going to lie. Juju, I don't think Juju had – Juju's not that guy. He had 1 big play for like 59 yards. Other than that, he wasn't involved much of the game. It's a lot to Travis Kelce, some to the running backs, and then it's tough to find other players in the offense. So for me, Chiefs offense, I don't know. Once they face tougher teams, better teams, it's gonna be looking tough. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to say the Chiefs. I think they just fell asleep in this one. They underestimated the Colts. We did talk about the Colts putting an emphasis on the run game this week. Again, Jonathan Taylor the ball, 21 carries, 71 yards. But this game was, easy, like a winnable game for them. I mean, you can't go scoreless in the fourth quarter if you're Patrick Mahomes. That's just unacceptable. And especially letting a team like the Colts, they were literally on the verge of we're literally on the verge of hitting the panic button on them, and you just gave them life. But I think one thing that stood out to me the most was Mahomes and their offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy going at it before halftime. Mahomes, he always wants to try to get as much points as possible, but those two guys seem like they were on completely different pages. And LaShawn McCoy had something to say about that, but I don't know. I'm not going to go ahead and say anything crazy about the Chiefs. Of course, last week they got away with one against the Chargers, but they'll pack this one in and bring it again next week.
Who they play next week?
Honestly, I have no idea, but shouldn't be. Oh, they play the Buccaneers next week.
Oh yeah, Sunday night.
Yeah, the Buccaneers. So I mean, that's a winnable game, right? As we were looking at things now, right?
Mike Evans comes back. Chris Godwin comes back.
It depends on those two guys, because
might be a little different. We know Mike Evans is back for sure, 100%.
Yeah, but
Chris Godwin though, if he comes back, man, Tom Brady got his little.
Those other weapons, those weapons that Brady was working with on yesterday, man. I hurt my eyes a little bit.
Russell Gage did turn up though towards the end.
We'll go ahead and move on to the next game. Well, I guess I can say this is another upset. The Dolphins beating the Bills at home, 21-19. Josh Allen had one hell of a game, but
like 400 yards, right?
400 yards, 2 touchdowns, but still not enough to beat Tua.
I feel like the Dolphins' red zone defense impressed me. Like they held them out like twice when they came down there. And I was a bit surprised. I know weather conditions were crazy. It was like 100-something degrees, extremely hot. But I want to comment a bit on the Tua bit, the whole concussion thing. I think that was just a bit reckless by the Dolphins, in my opinion. Like for the guy to be stumbling, right? The guy was legit. He got up, he stumbled. He stumbled, and like to allow him to come back into the game, it was just reckless. But it's a good thing for the Dolphins. He seemed fine towards the end of the game, but a bit reckless on their part, in my opinion. That's a game that if he's a franchise quarterback, you keep him out of. Like there's no reason to rush him back in a concussion protocol. And I think their defense was playing phenomenal, in my opinion. Like I get Josh Allen had 400-something yards and 2 touchdowns, but there's a lot left on the plate, in my opinion. And they did well for the circumstances, especially with the heat. So, I mean, the Dolphins, they look legit. I can't lie. They look legit. They're 3-0. They look they seem like they're the team to beat right now in that division. They showed up against Josh Allen, which was their test this week. Can they come up against Josh Allen and win? And they did what they're supposed to do. So just big props to them. You're muted.
Very, very well balanced team for Miami. Defensively very great. Offensively very great with Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and the run game. Even Gesicki finding in the end zone back-to-back weeks. They're very well balanced. One thing about Josh Allen, though, on that last drive for the touchdown, man, felt like he had McKenzie open a little early. And he waited.
Yeah.
It was a bad throw. Like I feel like he had 2 to 3 seconds to throw that ball before. I feel like he
Bills
just
had
wanted to run the
opportunities,
ball.
honestly.
They had opportunities, I know. And down the stretch in the end zone, Josh Allen he was missing plays, missing touchdowns, missing open passes.
Like the guy that was it, the punter when you kicked it.
He just skied it in the air.
Yeah,
in the air.
I don't know. So Miami, great win. Tough game for Josh Allen next week. You know what I'm saying? He facing my boy Lamar Jackson. So let's see if he can bounce back. But it's going to be a nice game. So I'm not hitting the panic button on the Bills. I feel like Bills, once they get healthy, they're missing a lot of players on the defensive end. So once they get healthy, I feel like they go back to normal. But Josh Allen, I feel like some plays got to be smarter, got to throw the ball earlier. You don't got to, try to get out of the pocket too much, stay in the pocket awareness, pocket presence. I feel like they would have won.
I mean, that Dolphins defense, they were getting to him pretty easily, man. But, I mean, he had a hell of a game, 447 yards total, 2 touchdowns. I mean, at the end of the day, the Miami Dolphins they're just a more complete team compared to the Bills. The Bills defense, they were depleted going into this week. They lost a couple of other guys. But I want to piggyback on what you said, Abdi, about the Dolphins being reckless. I want to call it reckless, to be honest, because he's not in concussion protocols right now. So I think he was fine. Obviously he hit his head on the ground pretty hard, but he got up and then takes him out the game for a little bit.
Dangerous though. The guy's stumbling though.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time though, like they went through like all the protocols in the back, and they gave him some time to come back, and they gave him some time to see if he was able to come back. But
I
he
mean,
was able to come back.
why else would the NFL be looking into it though?
Because it is a bit suspicious, if somebody gets knocked out of a game with a concussion, like you're gonna sit them out for the rest of the game. But
Exactly.
it wasn't that. I don't think it was that extreme. I mean, nobody really hit him. He just kind of like fell backwards and hit his head on the ground like pretty hard. So, but at the end of the day, I mean, without Tua, I don't think they win this game. Teddy Bridgewater, I'm not too sure if he's able to come up with the win. But man, even with Tyreek Hill having a pretty down week, Jalen Waddle 4 catches, 102 yards. This offense is pretty explosive. I think we're underestimating what these guys can bring each and every week. Because we didn't have the Dolphins winning this one, and they came away with it. But so the Bills got a tough one next week, and
Dolphins got a tough one too. They got to face Cincy.
That's a good one, actually, on Thursday night, right?
Thursday night. They got to face Cincy.
Hey man, I don't know about that one, but we'll have to wait and see.
Cincy need to come out for that game big time.
Yeah, they look good this week.
They look good this week, but it's the Jets. So
yeah, the Jets are a tough team, man. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next game. My Minnesota Vikings coming back and winning this game against the Detroit Lions at home, 28-24. 2 touchdowns in the fourth by my guy. Actually, 1 touchdown by Kirk Cousins, and the other was by Madison. But we came out on 1, man. What can I say?
I mean, it's just like we said last week. It wasn't going to be an easy game. The Lions have playmakers all around. We've seen Amon-Ra and what he was doing, and DeAndre Swift was nursing an ankle injury, but Jamal Williams came in and he did his thing, and TJ Hawkinson as well. So of course we had the Lions coming in and giving the Minnesota Vikings a fight. Of course, it's a divisional game. They're not going to play them easy, but the Vikings, like Justin Jefferson, man, the last 2 weeks, it's looking scary for him. I get the coverage in this game, like it was a bit tough. Jeff Okuda, like hell of a game from him, but at the same time, it was just the coverage was there. He was getting double teamed, and like you got to get your best receiver the ball. Like you got to be like this. This was unacceptable from the Vikings. Like I get they're probably happy that they won this game, but like if we're being realistic here, this game should have been a game where the Vikings came in and were like, okay, we're gonna win this like confidently, but like to be down at the halftime and then like struggle to come back, and then of course in the fourth quarter they ended up securing the win. Like it just doesn't sit right with me. And like offensively, we said coming into this season they're gonna be way more explosive, but like have we really seen that from the Vikings? If we're being real, like have we seen that level of explosiveness from this offense? So I mean, I'm not going to give them props for this win. Like, they're supposed to beat the Lions. I get the Lions are tough, but they're supposed to beat them. And this whole explosive offense thing that we're supposed to be seeing from Kevin O'Connell and all this stuff, I just don't see it. So,
yeah, offensively, the Vikings, a couple of people gassed them up in the offseason, man. A couple of people said this offense is this offense is that, JJ2K. We haven't seen any of that. Even against the Packers week 1, it was a great first half for you guys, but second half was slow. And then now look at these past 2 games. Very slow offense. Very slow offense. JJ, 2 catches, 16 yards. Dalvin, shoulder injury, another dislocated shoulder. This is like his 5th in his career. We know he's going to come back, but he didn't look too well on the field either. So I feel like Detroit gave this game away. They kind of took the gas off the pedal in the second half. They let you guys catch up, especially in the fourth quarter. I think you guys were down 10 points entering the fourth.
Yes, we were.
Yeah, it was
down 10.
24-14. So 14 straight points for the Vikings in the fourth. Detroit gave this one away, but like we said last week, it was going to be a tough week. Vikings was going to win. Divisional game. We know they're tough, so yeah, not saluting the Vikings for this one, but JJ2K, man, I'm waiting to see it, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
It might not be JJ 1.5K at this rate,
At 1,500 might not be reachable for him.
Yeah, it's too early in the season to tell. But am I happy we won this game? Of course. I'm just not happy with the way we won this game. We can't have scoreless quarters. I get it. So we're gonna have some scoreless quarters throughout the season, but against a team like the Lions, we can't come out down, 14. We can't be down going 10 points going into the fourth quarter. We can't be down by a touchdown going into halftime. This time if we had this game last year, we're probably losing it. I'm not gonna lie, because maybe we get into field goal range and we miss a couple of easy chippers, or our defense doesn't hold up. But I mean, I gotta give it to our guys, man. They didn't quit. They fought till the end. I know we lost Dalvin Cook, but I mean, he said he'll be fine for next week. But we got him some touches going on earlier in the game. He forgot a touchdown yesterday against the Lions, 17 carries, 96 yards. But I mean, the Lions, they have playmakers. We mentioned that last week. So I wasn't really surprised that they were putting up a fight. I thought we were just going to win this game by at least 10 points. But we did miss 2 field goals. So if you add in those missed field goals, it's a 10-point game. But I think we just got to be better overall offensively. I'm not upset that Justin Jefferson didn't have a hell of a game, because at the end of the day, the reason why we won this game on that very last drive was because he drew so much attention. He took 3 guys with him that KJ Osborne got open twice on the same exact play. So we ran the same play once and we got 28 yards out of it. And then Kirk ran it again and we got a 28-yard touchdown out of it with the same guy. So at the end of the day, you know, we did what we were supposed to do to come out victorious. But next week we got a tough game and we're going to be on the road. We're going to be on the road in London. So against the Saints, and we got to be better offensively. We got to get going really early, especially with this, with the conditions that we're in right now, being away from America. But at the end of the day, it was a good win. So 2-1 at the top of our division. I can't be mad at that. We'll go ahead and move on to the Ravens beating the Patriots in Foxborough 37-26. Lamar Jackson, another 5-touchdown game. Looking like the MVP,
at this point, are we not entertained? Like, he does this on a weekly basis. Like,
say that, man.
He's back to his 2019. He's back to his 2019 form.
Say that, man. That's 12, MVP right there.
12 total touchdowns on the season, 10 passing, 2 rushing. The guy's just been putting up performances.
Number 1 in pass touchdowns, number 1 in passer rating.
Like, it's a joke at this point. Like, it's only a cause for concern for the Ravens. Like, the Ravens are looking at this like, the price of the brick is going up, man. I hope they know that, because every single week, every week he puts on a show for everybody. We see
I ain't gonna lie. Like, I hope.
But that defense, that defense is. You cannot let Mac Jones keep this a close game. Like, that's just embarrassing. It's Mac Jones, man. Like, the catches that Devontae Parker was doing, and it just felt like, again, I was scared that the Ravens were going to lose this game, because that defense. I thought coming into the season they're going to be much better. They've looked downright terrible. Like, last week we saw them against Tua, they got sliced up. This week against Mac Jones, it wasn't until like late in the fourth quarter that they finally decided to show up. So
and that was in the end zone too.
Yeah, so it's looking like Lamar Jackson is going to have to continue to put this team on his back. But again, that's better for him and not for the Ravens. So they got the win, and right now is the MVP favorite 3 games in.
Yes, sir. MVP right there, man. That price goes up every week. Every single week he keeps playing like this. Hey, shout out Mark Andrews. I feel like Mark Andrews is the best tight end in the league right now. I feel like people got to start paying him more respect. I don't know if
he's playing like it.
He's playing like it. He played like it last year. Then this year he keeps on going. So that defense, man, is horrendous from all
secondary
from the D-line to the linebacker core to the secondary. At all 3 levels is horrendous. So they got big problems on that defense, but Lamar's going to carry them all the way. So we'll see. But on the Patriots side, man, I'm hearing news Mac Jones is out for probably a month, maybe a month and a half due to another ankle.
I mean, would it really have made a difference?
You might as well just shelve him, put him on the shelf and take.
Yeah, I feel like they got to let him rest, tank the season, man, get a nice pick. So, yeah, tough game for the Patriots losing Mac Jones, but Lamar Jackson though, man, MVP.
I'm not surprised Lamar had a game like this. The Patriot, they're, after losing last week to the Dolphins, I know they were coming into this one pretty hungry for a win, and Lamar had to do everything possible for that to happen, and he did. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at this defense, giving the Patriots 26 points. This defense reminds me of the Cowboys defense last year. They'll give up a lot of yards. Their pass rush is not exist. For the Ravens, their pass rush is not existent, right? And like the only way their defense will be good is if they just like force turnovers, like interceptions and fumbles like that, like just like the Cowboys last year where Trevon Diggs was going off and stuff. I think that's where the Ravens will make their money. But in terms of getting after the quarterback and being consistent, getting stops, 3-down stops, I don't see that happening from this defense. Like, their pass rushers, they're not the greatest, so every quarterback's gonna have time in the pocket, to slice his defense up. And it's just not, you just can't expect your DBs to hold up for more than 4 seconds. Like, that's just ridiculous. But good win for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, that, yesterday's price, not today's price. So the Ravens are just, they're going to pay for this one. But we'll go ahead and move on to the Bengals getting their very first win of the year on the road in New York, playing the Jets 27-12.
This is a much needed game for the Bengals. Again, just like we said, Joe Burrow needs to go out and make a statement. And the Bengals, they played great. They did have some mistakes here and there, but they cleaned up. They looked a lot better this week than they did the previous 2 weeks. I like what I saw out of Sauce Gardner against Jamar Chase. Like, I think a lot of people coming into this game were thinking Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are going to absolutely go off, right? And Sauce Gardner, he played absolutely great against Jamar Chase. T. Higgins, on a lot of teams, he'd be a wide receiver one. That's how good he is. But he had great catches. That touchdown, I can't believe it was ruled out. That's crazy to me because that was a touchdown in my eyes. But he showed up. Joe Burrow, they made a statement. But again, they cannot be satisfied just with this. They have to keep the ball rolling. They have to keep going. It's just not enough. It's the Jets. They were expected to win. So a good win for the Bengals. But again, Joe Burrow needs to come out next week. Same exact thing. So
Good one for the Bengals, man. Tyler Boyd, though, underrated receiver, man. Especially every single week. This week, T. Higgins went down with another hit to the head.
that hit was crazy.
That was another crazy hit to the head.
I think it's targeting at this point.
It's targeting. They're coming for them. I don't know why, but I feel sorry for T. Higgins. But Tyler Boyd stepping up the back-to-back weeks, coming in another 5-catch, 105 yards in a touchdown game. So for him to step up back-to-back weeks, especially with T. Higgins getting injured and stuff like that, and Jamar Chase not playing as phenomenally well that he's supposed to be playing like, big win for the Cincinnati Bengals this weekend. Like I just said, Sauce Gardner, back-to-back weeks. Jamar Chase, Mark Andrews 1 week. He's clamping people. One of the best corners in the league. So Jets, man, they got a good team, but Joe Flacco, it's time for him to hit the bench. That 1-1 last week against the Browns, that was enough for him, enough juice. It's time for him to hit the bench.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Bengals would, make this a closer game, but I got to give credit to their defense. This is nothing to, praise the Bengals about. They were supposed to win this game. They were supposed to win week 1 and week 2. So they're supposed to be 3-0 right now, right? But they're not. They're 1-2. So, I mean, they got the monkey off their back. They got the very first win of the year, but the turnaround's quick. They play on Thursday night against the Dolphins, and that's no easy game. So they got to put this one behind them. They're supposed to win this game. They need Zach Wilson at quarterback. Joe Flacco, he did what he could, but it's time to move on. And I know Burrow, he'll be better, but overall it was a good game by the Bengals. We'll move on to the Eagles beating the Commanders 24-8, convincing win. Devontae Smith, hell of a game, man.
I mean, are we surprised? Like, come on, like Carson Wentz finally, he thought he was gonna come in, have his revenge game. Like, that's a joke, man. The guy in the pocket looked terrible. Awful pocket presence. Devontae Smith, what a monster game. Last 2 weeks he had a decent week against the Vikings. Week 1 he was quiet, but this week just for me it wasn't even just like the yardage. It was just like the type of catches, the over the shoulders, the catch near the end zone, and then the touchdown after that was just, the guy is ridiculous, man. And to me, he's someone who, if he gets a lot more volume, he can be up there with a lot of these young wide receivers. It's just the fact that he doesn't get as much volume as them, so he goes kind of under the radar. But amazing performance from the Eagles again, just clean all around. Just they're looking like the team to beat the NFC. To be honest, that's how good they're playing. So I'm not going to be surprised if they continue this show, because Jalen Hurts, he's been playing great. They have 2 solid wide receivers in A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. The defense is playing phenomenal. So, again, the Eagles team to beat right now.
I'm agreeing with you, man. Eagles, I think they best team in the NFC right now. Phenomenal O-line, great defense. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, a great run game. Hurts was looking like a top quarterback. They have Dallas Goedert. So that team's looking very well balanced. And you know me with Carson Wentz, man. I went against the Commanders again this week. Like I said, I don't think that guy's a good quarterback. Tough O-line. They got abused. They were getting abused. I think they gave up 10 sacks. It was just a bad day for the Commanders. They couldn't get anything going offensive. They got a late touchdown, but the game was already over. But overall, Commanders, I don't think they stick with Wentz after this year. It's not looking too good for him. So shout out to the Eagles.
Yeah, man, the Eagles look really good, man. I mean, especially after they beat my team last week, they doubled down, and their defense stepped up against the Commanders, only shutting them out for 3 quarters and giving them a garbage time touchdown. So I mean, they're basically they won like 24-0 if we take away that last touchdown. But the the one thing I keep seeing is, their second half, they're not really putting up points. I mean, I get it, they're up 24-0, but I mean, there's still some time. There's still a lot of football left to be played. And they did the same thing last week. But I mean, I gave credit to our defense last week, but this week against the Commanders, I'm not too sure if I can give credit to the Washington Commanders defense. I just think the Eagles took the foot off the gas, and I know they can be better in second halves, but I think they just got to be more competitive games. But at the end of the day, the Commanders are just not a good team, man. They got to move on from what's like yesterday. So good one for the Eagles, team to be in the NFC. We'll go ahead and move on to the Saints and the Panthers. Panthers win 22-14. Not a good game for the Saints, man.
Yeah, famous Jameis is garbage, man. I gotta spin the block on this, man. This guy is terrible. Like, he's just not good. It's hilarious. I don't know if you guys saw the touchdown to Marquez. He threw it into four people. Quadruple coverage. He's so lucky. So lucky he just snagged it. He's so lucky.
And the way he snagged the one hand, that was crazy.
Crazy catch, but he threw it into four people. It wasn't even for him. It wasn't even for him. He threw it into four people, and he caught it. It's just got lucky, but the offense looks terrible. At least Chris Olave, I like what I saw out of him. He had a lot of air yards the last 2-3 weeks, so it's good they finally capitalized on that. But Jameis is, man, like I criticized Sean Payton for this quarterback battle between Taysom Hill and Jameis, but he might have been spinning. He might have been spinning.
He might have been on to something, man.
Might have been cooking with something, because this is not good, man. They might need Jameis. They might need Taysom Hill back at quarterback, because this offense is just, they have not taken off. Like, you cannot have this amount of weapons. It just feels like Kamara is not being utilized. And again, like, it could be a Jameis thing, but also like the coach. Like, we criticized, he has 8-28 record as a coach. So it's just, you can't put someone in that position where they're in control of that much talent. So it's looking scary for the Saints, man. It's very, very scary.
I said this last week, like, offensively, man. Last year they looked much better with the less talent.
Which is hilarious.
It's hilarious, and that was Sean Payton's last year. But with this new coach, it's a whole different thing. He got all those talented players, but the offense just suddenly became worse.
But does Jarvis Landry even catch passes?
Suddenly became worse, man. So Saints offense is just, it's just nasty. And Panthers, they got the W, but not due to the cost of Baker Mayfield. That's what I'm gonna say. It was not due to the cost of Baker Mayfield. That defense, man, Derby Chin, they balled out. They balled out. I think they had a couple turnovers on defense. They had a touchdown on defense. So good one for the Panthers. CMC had another 100 rush yard week, but no touchdowns. I'm kind of praying Sam Darnold comes back very soon. So I'm not gonna lie, man. Fantasy's tough.
Hey, man, the 1 week I go against Baker Mayfield, he goes and gets a win. I'm actually upset about this one, but one thing I did highlight last week was the connection between Winston and Chris Olave, and once again it was on display put up 9 catches for 147 yards. I said in the beginning of the season that he's going to be the clear-cut wide receiver 2 behind Michael Thomas, and it's looking like it every week now. But I don't know. I think they got to move on from Winston at quarterback. I'm calling it right now. He's hurt only because he's hurt. I'm not because he's not good, but he's playing injured and it's not helping the team out. So they got to bring in their backup, Andy Dalton. I would even bring in Taysom Hill. I was throwing Andy Dalton in the fire. And as for Alvin Kamara, I think he's playing hurt as well. So we're not really seeing much production out of him. And I mean, this week was just all bad. Was bad all around.
That's where Michael Thomas got hurt too.
Yeah, Michael Thomas got hurt
that game too, yeah.
And then Jarvis Landry's hurt too. So it's just bad all around for this team right now, especially with all the talent that they have. So something like Chris Olave might be the wide receiver 1 going into next week. But good win for the Panthers, man. Baker, he didn't play great, didn't play bad, but it's just 170 for a touchdown on the backs of Christian McCaffrey. He had a good game, 108 yards, and just good win overall. They got the monkey off their backs, got a win. So the next game, I think it's the.
I think we're entering the afternoon game.
Yep, right? 1 o'clock games now. The Jaguars, upset alert against. Actually, I wouldn't even call it an upset, but I mean they beat the LA Chargers 38-10, pretty badly. So very convincing.
What a statement from Trevor Lawrence! Like, wow, this team night and day in comparison with Urban Meyer and Doug Peterson as head coaches. James Robinson, man, what a story! Undrafted, Achilles injury last year, and then comes back and just looks phenomenal. I just like what I see at this Jaguars team. I had them finishing second in this division, and it's looking like they might push for number one with how the Colts are playing and how they're playing themselves. So I just like what I see out of Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback. I mean, I think every single person was high on him, the most talented in his class, and he's just putting that on display. Last year, he got put in an unfortunate situation with Urban Meyer as head coach, but this year, he's ready to prove a lot of people wrong. So I like what I see at this Jaguars team, especially shout out to the defense. Like, I get they did score a lot on offense, but defensively they kept Herbert in check. But of course, the rib injury and whatnot. But I just like this Jaguars team, man. They're fun. So
Yeah, Jaguars, man, amazing game for them on the offensive side and on the defensive side, man. James Robinson, like Abdi said, ACL injury, coming back this year, less than, I think, 8 months, coming back, regaining. A lot of hype was going into Travis Etienne this offseason, saying he's going to be the number one back, one receiving running back, that he was going to be the number one option for the team. But James Robinson came back 3 weeks in a row and just played fantastic. And a lot
it
of
makes
questions.
it so like weird. Like they drafted Etienne.
They drafted Etienne. I feel like they didn't really trust Robinson, but now I feel like
I mean, there was a doctor that came out and said that James Robinson wasn't going to come back to his normal self again. So that might be the reason.
You can't. Yeah, sometimes you can't trust doctors.
They got to find that doctor, man, because that doctor lied.
This guy's hooping.
He's proving a lot of people wrong, man.
There's another guy on that team that's been hooping these last 3 weeks that a lot of people question this offseason signing. Christian Kirkman.
Kirk.
People got to give him his flowers.
Keeps it going.
Hey, they said, oh, he's the one that broke the receiver market. He's the one that got all these receivers making.
He's showing he got paid right.
He got paid right. Well deserved. And then on the Chargers side, man, I feel like they came into this week already. It was just Herb is injured. I feel like he shouldn't have played.
Yeah, like why did they play him though? That's my question.
And they played him and he got hit a lot, and the O-line got banged up. Rashawn Slater's done for the year with a torn biceps. They drafted him, I think, 2 years ago, and he's been playing well for them on that right side. And they don't have really much depth on that right side of the, so it's tough losing him. Corey Linsley, the center, they lost, though. That's another big piece they lost. And on the defensive side, Joey Bosa going down, J.C. Jackson going down again. A lot of injuries coming out of this game, so it's tough for them. So very, very tough. And I'm questioning the offensive plays that he's been calling and everything like that. You're not getting Eckler involved in the game. Mike Will ended up with 2 targets in the game, and it's just like, come on now. This is your big star players that you paid. There's big money on the table for them. Go feed your guys. At least try to fight, but they show no fight whatsoever this game. So very, very tough loss for them. They got Houston next week with a lot of injuries. So, and we've seen what Houston did to them last year, and they're missing a couple guys. So, hey, you can't start off 1-3 in this division. It's tough.
With a playoff win on the line, with a playoff spot on the line too last year. Good win for the Jaguars, man. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, he came out and did what he was supposed to do. James Robinson, he's looking like the RB1 on that team. But I don't know. I think I'm ready to hit the panic button on the Chargers just because of their injuries. I mean, like Big H mentioned, everybody's getting hurt for them. Everyone's going down, and it's so early in the season. And I mean, they're going to get Keenan Allen back next week, but without an O-line, how good is Herbert going to be? Because the wide receivers that he's got Mike Will and Keenan Allen, right? Those guys, they're good. They're playmakers, but they're not they're not fast. So with the amount of time that Herbert's going to have, how's he going to get those guys the ball if those guys aren't even like in their positions in the right spots?
They lost their only speed receiver too. I think it was Darius.
I mean, Mike Williams is their deep threat though. Like Mike Williams, he's their deep threat.
He's not too entirely fast though. He's not going to beat you all the way down with the speed. It's just Herbert's going to have enough time for him to get down. So, and he's going to go. He's like a jump ball specialist and over the top kind of guy. He's going to jump and get the ball from you. But Keenan Allen, he's getting up there in age, so he's not quick like that. So the Chargers, we thought they were going to be the team to be in the AFC, right? They're going to be competing and winning the division and stuff like that, but it's not looking like it just because of the injuries that are holding him back. There's no reason to have Herbert out there, even in the fourth quarter. Forget about the entire game. Like, you play him, that's fine, but in the fourth quarter when the game's already won, why bring him in?
The game's over already, so it's like, yeah, it's crazy.
We're just gonna have to wait and see with all these injuries piling up and see what the Chargers make of it, because we talked about how they were terrible defensively, and all the guys that they signed are starting to get banged up. So we'll see next week. We'll go ahead and move on to the Rams beating the Cardinals 20-12. Not too sure if it was convincing or dominating, but it was enough for them to
I've
get
been
the
said
win.
this about the Rams. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like every single week since the start of the season, they haven't looked phenomenally well.
There's been odd wins.
It's just been odd wins, barely good wins, offensive. Cooper Cup, we all know Cooper Cup's gonna look
He
up.
finally had
He had a
a
decent week,
subpar game, man.
subpar game. But to me, Stafford has not looked well at all these past 3 games. I feel like that offense is just middle of the pack. The defense is middle of the pack. You know, it's top 10, but towards the end of top 10. I don't think this Rams team is that good. I feel like they barely beat a, horrible Arizona team that very depleted on the offensive end with a lot of injuries going in. Not that many healthy defensive players as well, so they're fighting. But I feel like the Cardinals, they maybe could have came out with a W, but to me, the Rams not looking good this season. And I said it preseason even before. I'm like, it's gonna be tough for them, but they faced 2 bad teams, and the first good team they faced, they got abused by. So we'll see.
I mean, yeah, I think the Stafford injury is bigger than we thought. I get coming into the season, it was a concern, and just this Rams offense just doesn't look good, in my opinion. The running game has just been Cam Akers just not been it. I get he had a pretty decent game this week, but again, just feels like and the Rams have never relied on a running game for a while, but it just feels like offensively, whether it's passing or just rushing, they just have not looked particularly good. And once Cooper Cup has a subpar game, that's alarming, in my opinion. If he has a bad game, then that speaks volume of how bad your offense has been, because Cooper Cup usually just gets his regardless of what happens. So this wasn't a win that was convincing. On the Cardinals side, again, they're just missing players, man. It's tough to do without DeAndre Hopkins, man. That's a top 5 wide receiver right there. So to have him not out there, and again, we had coming into the season that they were going to struggle. And again, Marquis Brown, he had a pretty good game. I think he had 17 targets, 140 yards, but that's just not going to cut it enough. I think James Conner was struggling this game. So
they have the other receiver too. I forgot his name. Gorian Dortch or something.
Yeah.
He had 9 catches for 98 yards too. So him and Marquise Brown, they balled out, but
it's just not enough.
They're 5'8" receivers. They're not gonna, they're not gonna do much.
Yeah, it wasn't enough. So
yeah, it wasn't really convincing. It wasn't a convincing win for me for the Rams. I mean, I get it, they beat the Cardinals, but just gonna have to see more out of this team. I think that injury that they tried covering up in the offseason is coming to light now. So I mean, they won 20-12. I mean, I'll give credit to the Rams defense. They played a hell of a game. But offensively, like Abdi said, if Cooper Cup's not having the Cooper Cup type games, then it's raising red flag and raising concerns for this offense. But they got to win, so they're sitting at 2-1 now. We'll go ahead and move on to the next game. The Falcons, like I predicted, they came into Seattle and won 27-23.
Yeah, I plead the fifth. I got nothing to say for this game.
I'll be honest, I didn't even watch this game, but I knew the Falcons were going to win. But looking at it, they just got ran all over. Legit, they got ran all over. Cordell Patterson, I think he had 140-something yards all over them. Marcus Mario, I think he ran for a touchdown as well, right?
They ought to cooked up too.
He ran for a touchdown. So coming into this game was hilarious. Zach was like, Mariota's going to run all over these guys.
Yeah, I wish Zach was on this episode so I can speak about the Niners, but different day.
Yeah, he's lucky he missed. I wish he brings up Jimmy G, but
I wish he does.
Yeah. Cordell Patterson ran all over these guys.
Our defense just is
the defense. Offensively, I think you guys played pretty well, in my opinion. You guys did your job.
Involved.
Yeah.
One game was involved. DK was involved. Lockett was involved.
I have to say, AJ Terrell, he's been a disappointment this season. I feel like every week
he's been getting bullied.
Every week, you had the Michael Thomas week, you had the Cooper Cup week, and then now you have DK Metcalf. And he didn't. I don't think he gave up a touchdown last year. This year, he's given up 3 straight touchdowns.
They're cooking.
Actually, matter of fact, it might have been 4 touchdowns in total because Michael Thomas.
Cooper Cup had 1.
Michael Thomas had 2 week 1. Cooper
and
Cup had
DK,
1,
right?
And then DK now. So that's 4 touchdowns on AJ Terrell. So it's a bit of a concern on that end.
Tyler Lockett had his field day on him too. I ain't gonna lie. Tyler Lockett was cooking. But yeah, for us, I don't know, man. Defense is just. Every time you score, they come back.
This was just 2 rebuilding teams going at it. Right?
It was a fun. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. It was a fun game to watch. Though, it was just all out.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad to watch. I'll admit.
Yeah, it was all out offense. I kind of
a lot of offense, no defense, But I mean, Cordell Patterson, hell of a game. They got Kyle Pitts more involved this week. 5 catches.
Still no touchdown though.
87 yards. Yeah, still no touchdown, but I mean, he's getting more catches and more yards. So that's a plus. But I can't wait for the day.
We gotta speak about Drake London though, man. That's another rookie wide receiver.
Dog, man.
He's just flying under the radar. People don't really talk about him. They haven't been talking about him, but he's always eating, man. He's
always open. He's always open. I'm kind of excited. I want to see what quarterback they get next year with Calvin Ridley back. That offense, they might be doing something.
Calvin Ridley, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts.
I forgot they had Calvin Ridley.
They drafted
that could be a scary offensive. Actually, I would have even drafted a running back though. Cordell Patterson, he's playing the role pretty well.
I feel like he kind of move on though. He kind of old. Although he's playing very well though, but when you're putting up 17 carries and 141 yards and a touchdown, bro, I don't think you should be moving on from somebody like that. I'm playing middle linebacker. You're D tackle, and I'm just playing cornerback back. Come on now.
But overall, good win for the Falcons. I'm looking forward to Seattle moving on from Geno Smith and giving Drew Lock a chance. I mean, he didn't have that.
I feel like midway through the season though, week 7, week 8.
I mean, the season's already lost now.
Season's already lost, but I don't know. Pete Carroll, I feel like
the issue is like, what's the point of moving on from Geno to Drew Lock? Like,
it's really
like it would have to like I can already envision like Geno Smith having one of those horrific games. Like I think that'll be the turning point, like where they just hand it off. But there's like no point. It's like you go from like garbage to garbage, you know. So like
I think like Drew Lock's our savior.
I'm just saying, just to give the offense a different look, you know, because you see what your offense looks like with Geno. Is nothing.
Like,
crazy.
I can respect Geno at like some level. Better. Like I feel like Geno's like for the most part hasn't been too bad.
He hasn't been too bad for us. 2 out of the 3 games so far, he hasn't been too bad.
So
yeah. But hey, I'm not saying don't give Drew Lock a chance, but it's really not much of a difference.
Yeah, I think he'll get his chance sometime.
Yeah, he's gonna play this year though for sure.
That being said, we'll go ahead and move on to an interesting matchup. The Packers going into Tampa and beating the Buccaneers 14-12 in pretty much a defensive game.
I mean, that first half from the Packers was up until the Aaron Jones fumble. Like they picked apart, like Aaron Rodgers was picking apart that defense, just throw after throw and then run, mixing in runs. It's just, I don't get this is the thing about this team that bothers me. It's like just one play, right? As soon as that fumble happened, I was like, oh my, this is where the turning point is going to happen. And it took a while, but eventually it got there. And again, Joe Barry, man, I'm not liking what I see. Like, if there's one thing you don't want to do, like the entire game plan was force Tom Brady throw it deep. Like his wide receiver's not going to get the job done. The wide receivers that he has now, they're not going to get it done. Let Tom Brady throw the ball deep, right? We're doing great at that. Suddenly we get late in the fourth quarter, Tom Brady, and you know Tom Brady is 2-minute drills, or he's just going to cut you and you're going to bleed. And we're playing prevent defense on Tom Brady. Like that doesn't, like, come on, man. We're playing prevent defense on Tom Brady. I think Fournette got like 2 big catches. Yeah, Russell Gage, they kept throwing it to him all the way into the end zone. But thank God for that flag, like that penalty. Oh my God, that penalty saved us. Devondre Campbell with the tip. I mean, the defense, I liked what I saw at our defense the second half up until the end of the fourth quarter, but Romeo Doubs, man, I'm loving what I see out of that wide receiver. The guy is speedy. He's a shifty wide receiver. His hands were solid this game. Alan Lazard got involved. So if we're not playing the Bucs, Aaron Jones is one of my favorite running backs, but when we're playing the Bucs, it's scary. But I like what we saw out of this game. And again, I'm not gonna be too heavy on Tom Brady. He didn't have his wide receivers, but the offense the first 3 weeks has just not a bit what it's supposed to be. So
big struggle on the offensive, man. I want to go back to that 2-point conversion, man. That's what happens when you're missing all your receiver options. Your top 3 receiver options are out, injured, and you guys got guys like, I can't pronounce names. You got Russell Gage, Perriman, Scotty Miller, Cole Beasley. It's nasty. It's very nasty. And they couldn't get set. You seen them like 7 seconds left.
Because it was about to be a run play to Fournette, and he had it. Yeah. He legit had it. And you see Russell Gage with like 6 seconds left on the clock, running across the field, going to the right side. And it's like, oh, too late. You know that clock's going to ring. I feel like Tom Brady, if you got that 2-point conversion, that game was in the bag for him. OT with a game, man. I feel like it was over. Overall, the whole game to me felt very slow, very defensive game. Aaron Rodgers, that first half, man, he slicing and dicing. And he was like 14 for like 15, almost 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. They get to the end zone, and
Great play by
Aaron Jones
Mr.
got
Diaz.
killed. Bro.
Hey,
Aaron Jones got
hey,
killed.
when you got a nose tackle like that falling back into coverage that weighs 290. That's crazy. The way
But
he
I
hit,
think he's like 350.
not 290. I'm being courteous. He's 250. The
Yeah.
way he hit Aaron Jones, bro, it was just nasty. It was just bad. So to me, good one for the Packers, man. That defense, they did a solid job. And like you said, Joe Barry, the last 2
But
minutes.
yeah, this is crazy, bro. You're playing prevent defense on Tom Brady.
Like
you can't do that.
Brady
man.
figured it out the first 2 plays. And it was just like, all right, Fournette 15, Fournette 13, and then another like 10-yard pass to Russell Gage in the middle. And I was like, you can't play prevent 4. Come on now, you got to put pressure on. Especially the O-line. You really got to put pressure on. Try to force Tom
That's
Brady.
why we're getting success all game. We're putting pressure on Tom
all
Brady.
3 quarters, especially leading up to that last drive. It was putting pressure on Brady, getting to him, making him throw, quick passes. But great one for the Packers.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you guys. I'm not calling this a great win for the Green Bay Packers. I mean, I get it; they beat the Buccaneers and Tom Brady, but one, Tom Brady didn't have his weapons, and the game was only a 2-point close game. They won by 2, and 2, your offense was looking good, right? You were up 14-3 at halftime, and you didn't put up a single point in the second half. I mentioned this last week, and I'm gonna have to mention this again. This receiving core is just not it. I mean, I get it. Dubs had a good week, but at the end of the day, it just did not look. The offense in general just didn't look good. There was no. You're not gonna run all over the Buccaneers. We get all that, and the passing game you can get it working a little bit, but it's not gonna look too great. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you, it just was not a good one overall. The only reason why the Packers won this game, it wasn't even because his wide receivers were out. The wide receivers that were playing were turning over the ball. So many fumbles, so many like dumb so many drop passes and stuff like that. Like the Buccaneers could have easily won this game if these receivers were just doing their jobs. Like,
I don't know about easily, because I could just easily argue, like, if Aaron Jones catches that touchdown, that's a 21-20-3 game right there.
No, but listen, I mean, you could say that, but at the end of the day, like these it wasn't even like you can't. If I were to put this loss on somebody, it's got to be on the receiving core. Like the defense did its job. They held the Packers scoreless in the second.
Oh, we're not blaming Tom Brady,
right? And Tom Brady did all he could to get these guys in a winning position. But like whenever they get a break on defense, like on offense, these wide receivers are doing absolutely nothing. So at the end of the day, this Packers receiving core is just not it for me. So I'm not calling this one a good win. I mean, I get it, they beat Brady, but I need to see a week where this wide receiver core just snaps. So like everybody eats. So somebody goes off, somebody's like the number 1. So let's say it's Dubs.
I mean, Dubs had 87 yards and a touchdown?
87 and a touchdown. And then
everybody else
had 45 and a touchdown.
Yeah, I want to see everybody eat, and then it's got to be in a convincing, dominating fashion where they win. But this one is just nothing to write home about. The Packers, they really just got away with one, to be honest. The Buccaneers in the red zone, 2-point conversion. I think Roger said something about how he saw something on the big screen, the jumbotron, that he wasn't supposed to see, and he just passed the message along to the team. So I'm not too sure if something was given away or something was on there, but it definitely gave the Packers the advantage for that 2-point conversion. But I mean, there's Packers are sitting at 2-1, and they're lucky. I gotta say that they're lucky. But we'll go ahead and move on to the Niners and the Broncos Sunday Night Football. Definitely a snooze fest.
It's crazy how Zach avoided this episode, man. It's crazy.
Hey, he been avoiding my call. Hey, he been avoiding my calls all day today. Like, you don't want to pick up the phone.
I wish Zach was here for this episode, because Jimmy G, old reliable, man.
Top 10 on his day. Top 10 on his day. What?
Like, I hope. Like, it was crazy. It's like Niners fans, like, not counting Zach, were legit like in a way happy about this result, because like now everybody can see how bad Jimmy G was. Like, all the Niners fans that were rooting for Trey Lance were like, this is why we had Trey Lance starting this season. This is what Trey Lance was coming to fix, because Jimmy G, like, how can you as an NFL quarterback step out of bounds, like throwing the ball? Like, you're a quarterback. Like, how do you not have enough awareness to realize?
The funny part is, right, on that play,
he threw a pick six.
He threw a pick six, so it really kind of saved him. But it's still like, yo, what are you doing?
Like, where is your awareness as a and it just feels like anybody who was celebrating the fact that Jimmy G's back and now like the offense is gonna return to what it was last year. Like, Jimmy G is nothing more than a game manager, right? When the game is on the line, Jimmy G's not gonna like he's not gonna threaten you like that. Like you're not afraid of playing Jimmy G. That's the thing. Like you're not afraid of playing Jimmy G. What Trey Lance was gonna bring to this offense was he's gonna raise everybody's levels. Like guys like Kittle were gonna have a great year. Debo's gonna have a great year. Ayuk was gonna have a great year. But again, Jimmy G as your starting quarterback, that's tough. Like, and it was what this is what Kyle Shanahan has. This is the hand that he's dealt. He put his quarterback in a compromised situation and got him injured, trying to make him seem like he's Josh Allen, and he's got to deal with Jimmy G. So I don't feel any pity for Kyle Shanahan whatsoever. This is his card. He got to deal with it. But on the other side, the Broncos' offense is just garbage, man. Like Russell Wilson's washed. Like it's crazy. Like that offense just stinks. And like usually, you know how we tend to say like, okay, maybe next week they might be better. Like they haven't given me anything to say like next week they'll be better. So I'm down on the Broncos as a team. Again, I know they're 2-1, but offensively they haven't looked anything special. So that's how I just see the game, man.
The reason I hate Niner fans, right? They come in, right? And they come in here with this Jimmy G, this, Jimmy G, that. We're the Super Bowl contenders. We've been to NFC championships with Jimmy G. And we know the outcome. We know what type of quarterback this guy is. We've seen it day in, day out. We know what happens. They lost the game 11-10, right? He had 3 turnovers. This is 3 turnovers. And all turnovers were just nasty mistakes. Nasty interceptions. Him stepping out of the end zone, giving him a safety. It was just a horrible game from outside. Just a horrible game. And they lost Trent. I think they lost Trent Williams on one of those interceptions. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, he's
Trent Williams got hurt.
Out for a month.
I think Azeez Al-Shire got hurt as well.
Azeez Al-Shire got hurt too. He's going to be out for a while. So for me, the Niners, they're going to have a long season. Long season without Trent Williams. It's going to be a long year. It's going to be a tough year. Kyle Shanahan put this on himself. So, like I just said, there's no sympathy for him. All my stock, like I said, the Niners are going to be the best in the division. They're here and that, but all that stock is out. I don't think anything's gonna happen. And speak on the Broncos side, man, Nathaniel Hackett he's not that coach. He's not that coach for the Broncos. And I feel like Russell Wilson is a level below what we've seen him at in the past, is much farther than what we expected him to be at. So it's pretty bad for that Broncos offense. We'll see what happens.
I think you guys are overreacting a bit about the Niners and Jimmy Garoppolo.
We have another Jimmy G fan. Man. It's another Jimmy G fan in here.
No, I'm not like saying Jimmy G's like the greatest or anything. But I mean, at the end of the day, after watching that very first drive where they marched down the field and IU got that touchdown, I thought, okay, the Niners are back in business. But they just became stale and stagnant offensively. Like they put up 0 points the next 2 quarters and they got a field goal. But at the end of the day, the one thing that I noticed, the one thing that stood out for me was Jimmy G's body language at the end of the game. I mean, he just cost your team a win, right? You didn't play great, and then you're over here laughing, you're smiling and laughing and joking around with the opposition, right? But like, that's just not a good look. But at the end of the day, what I'm thinking about in the back of my head is, I'm thinking like, is Jimmy G really committed to winning for this Niners team, right? Like, the way they did him dirty in the offseason, they wanted to get rid of him. They told him that, you have to restructure his contract, and they're going to move on from him for Trey Lance. And then at the end of the day, now he's the highest paid backup quarterback in the league, and he's starting for this Niners team that tried to throw him out. Like Zach mentioned last week, they told him to practice on a different side of the field alone, right? So, like, how committed is Jimmy G to this team? Because at the end of the day, he knows that they're not bringing him back next year. They're not going to make him the highest paid again, and they have no interest in making him the starter. So his commitment level is concerning for me. But at the end of the day, I feel like they're just going to figure it out as a team. The Niners defense, they were amazing. They looked amazing yesterday. They got to Russell Wilson basically anytime they wanted. And I basically called the Broncos struggling like this. I mean, they're 2-1, but it's not a good 2-1. They beat the Texans in a close game, and they really beat the Niners by 1 point, right? In an 11-10 game on primetime. I called Russell Wilson struggling. I called him. He looked good with Cortland Sutton. I'm not too sure how he looked with Jerry Jeudy. It wasn't the greatest, but him and his head coach, this new offense, his new system, and his weapons, they're not on the same page right now. And I don't think they'll be getting on the same page anytime soon. So, I mean,
let's just say they do get on the same page.
It's not scary though. It's not scary.
It's not scary, but at this point right now, if they can sludge out a couple of wins and they finally get on page, we'll see. Maybe we'll see what if they make. But I don't trust Nathaniel Hackett. I really don't.
I'm not even if they're on even if they're hitting on all cylinders, they don't.
I don't think
they don't have a
that
good team.
I don't think the O-line's up to par, and I don't think Judy's a receiver either. So
I think Judy's good. I think he's just
Judy's really good.
I don't know.
Actually.
Y'all
he's
see
good.
that?
Just that bad drop he had. I think right.
No. Did y'all not see that 2-minute video on Twitter of him and Drew Lock?
But that's like
2 minutes of drop
that's
passes.
like young wide receiver.
In
Like,
one
Come on,
year.
man. That's the beginning. He been working on his hands.
I mean,
in
we
the
can say the same
offseason,
thing
man.
about Deontay Johnson, to be honest. So
Right,
Yeah,
like,
but
saw
Deontay
Deontay
Johnson,
turned
it took a couple years for him to get into that though. It took a while.
I gotta say, Cortland Sutton, he's looking like Russell Wilson's favorite weapon. He's looking amazing, man. 8
Big
catches,
body
97
receiver,
yards.
man. Big body receiver.
It's like an off-brand Mike Evans, to be honest. He's a tall receiver, but I guess it's a solid win for the Broncos. You know, they got away with one at home.
Solid
For them, it's solid. You know, it's
Come
terrible when we look at it on paper, right?
Hey,
Like,
bro, that game was I almost had 3 naps in that game. Like it was bad.
yeah, it just
It was
wasn't
bad.
interesting at all. But the Niners let one slip away. But now they just got to move forward to next week. So we'll go ahead and wrap things up with the Monday night game. The Dallas Cowboys go into New York and they beat the New York Giants 23-16. CeeDee Lamb, one hell of a game, man.
yes,
Hey, he won me with that last touchdown, man. I'm geek. I'm so happy,
cooked,
man.
CD cooked, but
Needed it.
I mean I think the Cowboys defense is looking like as good as ever. I mean, I had them regressing and
regression.
they have
We heard a lot about that
regression. They've
regression
done
part.
nothing but prove me wrong so far this season. Cooper Rush, I think he's been really steady for them. I don't think they had this vision where he would come in and actually steady the ship. In their minds, like I think Cowboys fans wrote off this season. You know, they're thinking like our starting quarterback got injured, and now we have a backup coming in. There's no way we're able to sustain this, and you know they're piecing together some games here and there, and if they're able to remain like 500, like that's a bit scary. Like maybe Dak can come in, but Zeke, man, like it's time to put Zeke on the back burner. Like I get it, you paid him, but Pollard just looks 2 times more explosive, man. Like every time Pollard comes in, it's like a big gain, and at some point, it's just like if you, for the betterment of your offense, you just need to play the better running back. Like you just cannot continue with like. And I get Zeke had 72 yards on 14
Zeke
carries.
could be a good end zone guy, but Pollard is explosive.
But like Pollard just like he just opens up the game a lot more for them. And you have CeeDee Lamb, one hell of a game. So I like what I saw at Saquon Barkley though. Again, he's showing us like he's still here, man. Saquon, another good game. Daniel Jones is gonna be Daniel Jones, but I like what I saw at Saquon. So I had the Cowboys winning this, and of course I'm up on the scoreboard for a reason.
They got the job done.
I think we all picked Cowboys to win it, though, right?
Yeah. Actually, no, I don't.
BLS picked the Giants.
Yeah, BLS picked the Giants.
Yeah, he picked the Giants, but
That's on the court. But hey, Cowboys, man, I feel like they're going back to that run game that they used to be with Zeke back in the day, but this time with Pollard.
I mean, I think a 1-2 punch isn't too bad. Isn't the worst thing.
Is like you got Pollard early in the game, you use him for the first couple of downs, and maybe 3rd-2 comes, 3rd-1 comes, or ends.
That's hilarious though. Zeke being on 3rd down.
Yeah. But at the same time, though,
putting Zeke in the committee, right? That sounds
it's
so
what
crazy,
works for the team.
man.
It's
working, man. I gotta give it to him.
Because now this run game, man, with Pollard coming in, they're averaging like 8 to 9 yards a carry.
Because I think they had 150 yards combined today.
Pollard had 105.
Oh wow!
So they had like 177.
Yeah, something like that.
Man, Cooper Rush played a good game. Him and CeeDee Lamb, man, they've been finding each other. That touchdown in the end zone by CeeDee, that beautiful, beautiful. And he made up for that drop catch that he had earlier.
Yeah. That would have been a touchdown too.
That would have been a touchdown too, but he made up for it, So good game by the Cowboys, man. That defense, Michael Parsons.
Oh, Michael Parsons out.
And that D line, the linebacker.
DeMarcus Lawrence finished with 3 sacks tonight.
Bro, Vander Esch, Trayvon Diggs, they're all playing.
Bro, the offensive line they drafted from Alabama, the Giants, bro.
Hey, horrible pick, man.
What's his name? Evan Neal?
Yeah, Evan Neal. That guy's so trash. I feel sorry for Daniel Jones, man, because you don't see a quarterback run the ball 15 times. 15 times he carried the ball. You don't see that unless he's getting pressured so much. Unless he's getting pressured. And the whole game he was just getting pressured. I feel bad for him. Giants, like the last 3 years, they drafted O-lineman, all their first round picks. What are these guys doing? I don't see anything. No help, no great anything from any of them. So Saquon, another fantastic day for him, man. The Giants 2-1, probably one of the worst teams with one of the good records. So yeah, Cowboys, they can look scary when Dak comes back. I feel like if Dak comes back, I feel like they're gonna go away from the pass game. Not the pass game, but the run game. I feel like if they do that, and their season's done. So with
I'm
Gallup,
not too sure if their
they got to
season's
stick
done,
with
to
the
be
run
honest.
game. I feel like they got to stick.
That can
with
air it out though with these weapons now.
That can air it
Gallup
out.
coming back.
But what's gonna open up that pass game though?
It's the run game for sure.
Run game. You got to focus on the run game with Pollard. 100% with Pollard or Zeke. Like 177 yards today. That's a lot. It's a lot.
It's just crazy that those two guys are in the committee, especially Zeke. Like, who would have thought coming into this year, right?
A guy to be in the committee.
$90 million contract, you in a committee.
To be in a
Yeah,
committee,
hey, that
right?
was it. They got something bright going on, man. If Dak comes back healthy, Don Schultz comes back healthy, and Michael Gallup comes back healthy. Some pieces on that offense. They can go.
Yeah, Cooper Rush, he's really holding the fort down right now. I mean, with Dak, I'm hearing Dak might be able to come back next week, but they might be rushing it. So I give it another 2 weeks. But still, even if they're like 3-2 by the time he comes back, like that's still good enough for him to take the reins back and lead this team. But I mean, the Giants, man, they just got to get more people involved in the game. They didn't look too great. Saquon was amazing. I'll give that to him. But Daniel Jones being under pressure all night, not being able to connect with a lot of his receivers. I mean, they were the worst 2-0 team coming into tonight, and now they're 2-1. So I think just how Seattle had they had a nice little sunshine when they're 1-0 after beating Russell Wilson. I think the Giants had their time being 2-0. I think the downfall starts now for them. So that wraps up week 3. And now we move on to the predictions and the win totals. So for week 3, I finished 8-8. Abdi finished 10-6. Big H finished 7-9, and BLS finished 5-11.
I hate
right?
the Seahawks, man. They be selling me, bro.
It's crazy, right? BLS had an 11-5 week, and then he finished 5-11 the next week. That's just a bad week overall for him, but good week for me. I had 500, but I'll go ahead and talk about the totals now. So I'm at 21, 26-1. Abdi's leading us at 28, 19-1. Big H is in third right now for 22, 25-1. And Belis is in second at 25, 23-1. So I'm right there with Big H. Belis he lost his lead against Abdi. Abdi's the leader right now, sitting at 28.
Sir.
Yeah.
Don't let me run away with it, man. Just don't let me run away with it.
Hey, next couple weeks I'm on him.
It's a long season, man. We're only at week 3, so you're gonna drop some games here and there. So I just got to figure out, where to take my chances. There's some games next week where I know who you're gonna pick.
First game on Thursday is already crazy.
Every game, every week, you got to get one game off this guy.
Yeah, you got to take it slowly, chip away. If you're able to get 2 wins off him in
that's a successful week, that's good.
Yeah, but we got some tough matchups in week 4. Week 3 is officially in the books, and I'm looking forward to week 4 because we got some crazy matchups. We got Tua versus Joe Burrow, Miami against Cincinnati, and Lamar versus Josh Allen. We got some tough games, man.
Brady versus Mahomes Sunday night.
See, we got some good games at week 4, man. But any final words, fellas, before we wrap things up?
Let's get into week 4, man. I'm excited.
Week 4, baby. Good episode, man.
The Vikings sitting at 2-1. I can't complain. We're going all the way to London to play the Saints. It's gonna be. Where are we playing at? Tottenham Stadium, right?
Probably Wembley Stadium.
6 a.m. to watch. 6 a.m. to watch.
6:30. I'm gonna be out watching my boys, man. Hey, the last time Dalvin played with a harness, bro, he went off against that Pittsburgh Steelers defense last year. So I'm expecting nothing
Kevin
less.
O'Connell's gonna have some questions this week, man. If JJ don't turn up, man.
I don't know about
Marshawn Lattimore.
Oh, it's a tough matchup. I forgot about that.
Big dogs in the house now, man. Come on now. I gotta see some.
We all on the same side. I ain't scared about them. I ain't scared of those guys, man. Especially with Jameis Winston leading the way right now. With the way he's playing, he's not playing too well. So, and with them being banged up, I'm looking forward to week 4, man. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. We really appreciate your love and support. We'd really appreciate it if you like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at New Media Podcast. For those of you that are watching us on YouTube, all of our social media handles will be in the beginning of this video. And for those of you that are listening to us on Apple and Spotify, if you go to our Instagram page at New Media Podcast, you'll be able to navigate yourself to all of our social media handles there. So with that being said, once again, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Record a new hit, then we making us a film. Wouldn't sign a deal if I got a couple mil. Been in the lab, now they throwing out deals. Me and now Lake, now that's overkill.